it's time for a panel discussion, for which once again, I'm going to request a few panelists to come and grace the stage. So to begin with, let's once again invite Mr. Kulkarni on stage. Can we have a huge round of applause for him? The director, Knowlathon, and PRINCE2 brand ambassador, as well as our panel member. He comes in with 20 years of experience in project management. He's the PRINCE2 ambassador, PMP, and PRINCE2 Agile certified. Along with him, let's applaud and welcome Mr. Sachin Rathi. Can we have a huge round of applause for sir? The principal technology analyst at BMC Software. He brings in a massive experience of 18 years and is certified in PMP, ITIL, and Microsoft RPA. Let's welcome our next panelist, Mr. Sajal Srivastav. Can we have a huge round of applause for sir? From Edmetics Group, Program and Delivery Management, PMP, CSM, AWS certified, as well as a solution architect. Followed by him, let's welcome Mr. Vishal Kulkarni. Let's give a huge round of applause for him. He brings with him a 24 years of experience, PRINCE2 Agile, SAFE, SPC, PSM certified. He has been primarily involved in Agile transformation projects. And lastly, let's give it up for Mr. Mahesh Devstari, the founder of Sharva Group, helping IT leaders and startups scale through IT advisory, training and compliance. PRINCE2 Agile, PMP certified. He is also a OKR implementer, and he comes in with a massive experience of 20 plus years. Let's give a huge round of applause for all our panelists. And now, I have a few set of questions that, of course, I'm going to pose to all these leaders. And then please keep your questions also ready, because then we would have an open forum wherein we would take questions from all of you. So in case if you have any questions, this is the moment wherein you can get your queries sorted and solved, okay? So let us start with the first question. I'm just going in this order, okay? All right, so the first question is, what are the benefits? And of course, if you want to add anything, please go ahead and add. What are the benefits of implementing project management framework?
I know everybody here can drive, right? Two-wheeler, four-wheeler, something. And if you just reflect back on the first day when you learned to drive, what your trainer did. He did not put you on the road directly. That's the role the frameworks will play. They will give you a very organized, formal, disciplined way to drive your projects to success, and not only one, but projects after projects. So I am a firm believer of having the frameworks to keep the projects running.
Okay, anything to add, sir?
Yep. So just to add to what sir said, so I also believe it gives a direction for everyone to move together and know what needs to be done again and again. So it's a repetitive thing which if you follow, the chances of getting success is higher. It's better than running like a headless chicken, right? So I think framework helps in defining the process, which can be a key to success if repeated again and again. So it gives a direction to an organization, to us, starting from an individual to the organization itself. So that's my idea.
Okay, so according to you, the motto is the more you practice, the more you master it. Yeah?
Yes, and if I know what to do again and again to be successful, I think my life will be easier, right?
All right, so on that note, we have one more question just for you, sir. Okay. So the next question is, what should an organization do before implementing this framework?
Okay, so I think the first thing comes to my mind is to make the people understand that why we are doing it, right? Many a times, many organizations, even in my career, maybe I have done it many times with my teams, that I will just one day schedule a meeting and say that we need to do this from tomorrow, right? Without making people understand that what is the purpose, what benefit we can reap out of it, or why we need to do this basically. So I think if we make people understand that why this framework is beneficial, how it will help us maybe with more productivity, efficiency, or maybe making life easier for everyone. So I think if we put the right context before implementing the framework, I think that will help us to make people understand and adapt.
All right, thank you so much. Let's move to the next question. Can we have the mic for Mr. Kulkarni? Okay, so the question for you is, sir, how to define the success of implementation of this framework?
Okay, so first, what should I would just add to the answer to the last question a bit and then move to this one.
Yes, sir.
So before implementing any framework, we should understand what the objective of implementation of the framework is. Frameworks, this is a common statement that I've heard कि training में आप कुछ भी सीख लो, करना वही है, right? Now, I blame the community of the practitioners or professionals who have been into training primarily for this particular misconception. See, framework is not a silver bullet. We need to understand what it can do for us, what's the current situation, understand the gap, and then go ahead with implementation with clear objectives. Are you going to implement for a whole range of projects? Are you going to start with one particular project? Is your idea about having structure for your type of projects? What sort of skill sets are required? Do you have the necessary tools, people, everything in place? And then go ahead with implementation of the framework. So this will result in good ROI. ROI not only in terms of money, but in every sense the organization wants. When you start with that clarity, we come to the next question: how do you define the success of the framework implementation? Now, framework implementation is especially if you have something common in the projects that you are carrying out. There the framework is going to benefit you the most. The lot of activities that are going to be repeated. See, projects are very risky affair, okay? But we can reduce the risk to some extent with the help of frameworks. When we try to identify the repetitive frameworks and try to capture that knowledge in some form and then basically avoid repeat learning. एक ने सीखा है तो दूसरे को उसी गड्ढे में जाने का जरूरत नहीं है. As simple as that, and that is where the definition of success could be timelines, how much is your delta, how much delta has been reduced. Those things could be your success factors or success parameters that you can start with, have clarity with at the beginning and then measure those at the end. And then again, the way you implement it, that itself needs to be improved over a period of time.
Okay, anybody wants to add anything to this?
So I have my own definition for the success factor.
Your own version?
Yeah, my own version. So a framework is not successful until I consider framework to be successful when it serves people, not when the people serves the framework, right? And like we all know, in a pack of cards, the highest trio is what? 3 aces, right? So these 3 aces are required for your frameworks also. How soon you adopt, how earliest you start accepting the framework, and the faster you accelerate your business. So these 3 aces are needed when you work with the framework.
Great, wonderfully explained. On this note, I have one question for you. So the question is, how should organization look at customization and scalability?
Well, very interesting question, and it's always important, especially in India. I heard Joseph sir saying that, yeah, the structural way in India is not there. So always we cannot fit it in the same suit every time. And customization is definitely needed because the acceptance make people accept that, yeah, we are going with what you also believe and this new thing you want to accept. But one thing which is very important, that we should not tailor the important aspects of frameworks, because if you tailor the important aspects, which are actually the value delivery models of the framework, you will lose the whole roadmap and might not reach the destination. So on the customization, yes, and scalability, of course, to make a model scalable, you have to be flexible enough to understand the complexity of the projects. We cannot be very tight enough for a smaller projects. At the same time, we cannot lose because of the framework on a complex project, on a larger project. Choosing the right tool set, I think, can help this scalability model more better.
Okay, anybody wants to add something in?
So
yes, sir.
tooling is going to be one aspect or one enabler, I would call it. But substantially, the way people understood it is like, if we use the tools, the product is going to be successful. So pretty much we have to take that myth out of the mind that tool is going to make you successful. It is all about your mindset, which is going to drive you, and probably tool is going to add you as a, or probably tool is going to act as an enable in terms of making the products more successful. Your Paytm, UPI systems, even if we are unstructured, still we are the highest stakeholders in terms of making the deliverables or making the financial transactions in a online manner. We are the highest in the entire world now. Right, so that's pretty much what we are talking about, and possibly, like everyone said, right, bringing in the structured approach when we want to achieve a specific set of value. If you understand the value proposition, then probably it is going to be all about, we are making the things available for our customers' consumption purpose at every point in time. Thank you very much.
Okay, you wanted to say something, sir? He's just managed all the points on your behalf as well. Okay, so on this, yes, so I have a question for you, sir. The question is, what sort of support system or training should be considered?
Okay, so hardcore facilitator, right? Looking at the different needs, suddenly you first need to train yourself in terms of what we are doing and why we are doing it, right? If you understand your objective, then specifically it's at every point in time, it's your leadership who is going to make you understand what we are doing and why we are doing it and how we should be doing it. So first thing first is your leadership who needs to really understand the overall perspective, what we are trying to bring in and how are we going to bring in. Definitely the mindset shift. PRINCE2 Agile is bringing the different flavor wherein we are including the people dimension as well. So pretty much that is going to take care of that. Tools will come, certainly. We have tons of tools available. Those can be learned substantially over the period of time, but first thing first is like you have to be ready with your mindset. That's it.
Okay, so mindset. For you, it's the mindset, huh? Okay, so coming back to you again, sir. The question for you is, how should we deal with internal stakeholders like HR, IT, finance, etc.?
So basically, the other stakeholders. How should we deal with, like, we are here, we are discussing, we are the panel members, you are the facilitator. How should we deal with the audience? They are equally important, they are part of this. So in my opinion, it is the same for everybody, be it HR, be it admin. They are part of the project, right? And in fact, they play quite a major role in supporting the deliveries. In many cases, just say the AC in the conference room is not working, and then you have to do the war room meetings. Will you be able to do it that effectively? Definitely not. So the AC maintenance guy, who is my stakeholder, who is part of my project, and as the project manager, I'll have to take care of that person as well. So whoever it is, whichever team, whichever department, it has to be the collaborative efforts, joined up approach. That's the way how you should be running the projects.
Can I add
Yes,
something?
sir.
So in continuation with what he said, right, pretty much the days are gone wherein we were just executing the projects in the past. It is more or less product-based oriented approach which is taking a shape in the industry now. If you talk about the product mindset, pretty much the value stream aspect which comes in, the days are gone wherein we were funding the projects. It is more on, we are taking a shape in terms of we are funding the value streams and making the necessary adjustments in the funding arrangements. Definitely your finance is going to be the most important department which will come into picture. Subsequently, your IT fends off it in terms of the kind of infrastructure which needs to be made available, especially the product development approach what we are taking, wherein we are moving completely away from the monolithic architecture to microservices. So definitely, the flexible infrastructure, your IT is going to come into picture. We are having the right set of skilled resources available at every point in time. Your HR is going to be playing a major role subsequently. So I think it is pretty much what I would call it as the mindset. Again, coming back to the mindset, it is not the individual team. It is not the individual department. I think it is taking shape at the entire enterprise level now. So
So just to add a little bit on that, so I think many of us must be dealing with a lot of different departments and stakeholders, as you mentioned, right? And it's absolutely true that everyone needs to work in collaboration, and that's the way to go. I mean, there's no other way. And that analogy about microservices is perfect. I mean, right? Because 100 services talking to each other as compared to monolithic architecture. So, but I also think that few things I think we should be keeping in mind. So whenever we are reaching out, I completely believe that we need to reach out with empathy and respect. We also need to understand every department is busy with their own work. Also, we need to be specific and reasonable and realistic about our demands. So I think if we keep these things in mind, these are mostly the human angle, I would say. So I think that way you can coordinate or collaborate better and may get a better and sooner response.
Okay, so if we just not get too much into the technical talk and say in simple words, so say कि हर family member ज़रूरी है, so and everybody plays an integral role, so they're equally important, isn't it? Okay.
Especially the finance.
Very important for everyone, layman हो या technical हो, बहुत ही important है हमारे लिए ये department. Okay, so next question for you, what is the role of tools in implementation?
Yeah, so tools are very important. I mean, it can make the implementation easier. It can also make the continuous usage of the framework or let's say usage of the process easier as well, right? If I compare creating a project plan in MPP as compared to Jira, so Jira is 100 times easier, I mean, as per my perception. So that's why I think tools will also make less errors as compared to the human error. So I think those are the basic advantages, that implementation will be easier. The results, the outputs would be consistent, or output will be more accurate, I would say. So I think that is the main role of the tools in my belief.
Anybody wanting to add anything?
So there's a myth in the market, I mean, I have heard with many organizations that, hey, we have tool, why do we need framework? They think tool is a replacement to framework, but that's not true. If framework is a roadmap to success, tool is your vehicle that will drive you to the success.
Very nicely put. Very well, thank you. Very great pick of words there. Okay, so coming to Mr. Kulkarni, so question for you is, what could be the risk and how could that be mitigated?
One of the risks is that whenever we undertake any new effort, we always have a lot of enthusiasm, energy, and parties at the beginning. But as we get into it and it becomes a bit stale, used to, and so on, the energy wears off. Okay, that is where the leadership and the team that is driving the effort to implement the framework should stay on course and make sure that this goes through. That is why one of the things we can do while implementing the framework is we can start with smaller projects instead of trying to implement it on anything that is large scale, because there will be too many stakeholders, too many. Compliance is a part we haven't talked about, but that is another important thing, data, compliance, privacy, and whatnot. So in a smaller project, it will be relatively easier to manage all things, and then we will understand what works for us, what doesn't work for us, and then we can replicate that in the subsequent projects. That is what I would say in terms of risk management.
Anybody willing to add more?
So the energy, what you said is high, is usually high at the leadership, but there's a lot of rejection or repulsion which comes from the organization. And that's what is the biggest challenge, I think, when you are handling such situations, to bring out your, the technology, the masters, I would say, or recognize someone from the existing team itself and bring him as the mentor, make him as enable as we can. So that's how we can mitigate that problem, create as many mentors and masters in your organization.
Great. All right. So I have one question for you now, sir. What role culture could play in framework implementation?
Very great question. Culture can either make you there or bring you here. So that's where the culture shift is. And so it's in continuation of what I was saying. So people come up with a different culture and you bring in some technology, some new tool set, new framework. It is high chances that there would be a resistance to do that. And as I said, that you bring enablers, add more and more knowledge sharing sessions, make, we can bring in your e-learning path, and by adding all this stuff, yeah, definitely we can make a value and make a difference to them. Let them know, that, enable them that much that they themselves can make their own calls and decisions with this new framework. The benefits are being conveyed appropriately. So that's how we can mitigate that.
That's how the culture would make a difference.
Exactly. The culture shift is important, and how we bring it organization to organization, that is important.
All right. Yes, sir.
So one of the great statement by one of the greater management consultant, Peter Drucker, he made a statement stating that, your culture eats the strategy for the breakfast, right? So if you don't have that cultural cultivation, definitely your strategy is not going to work, right? So that's a perfect statement.
Very well said.
Yes, sir, you want to say something?
Yeah, so as, culture is very important, as they say, and the right tools and processes to bring in that culture, maintain that culture, and also the culture of accepting the change is also very important. Because as they say, right, change is inevitable. So I also say that reluctance to any change is also inevitable, right? So if I try to change anything, even with 2 people in my team, there will be some reluctance. So I think there needs to be a constant learning mindset, as Mr. Kulkarni said, so that if anything changes for better, people should be able to adapt it and accept it and then work on it. So I think the learning mindset culture or the grooming culture needs to be there consistently or constantly across the organization.
Great. Yes, sir, please.
So I always look at the project managers as the culture catalysts within the organization. See, they are positioned in the middle. Like there is a top management, and then there are the team members, the delivery teams. And these project managers, they are perfectly in that position where they can drive, they can bring this cultural change if there is a conviction, if they themselves see themselves in this entire project management fraternity in a particular way. I always see, and I always, even during my sessions also, I always tell them that you are the catalyst, you are the people who can bring that particular cultural change. Of course, the tools, the frameworks, the other departments, everything needs to be there, and it will be in support of this, but then this particular role across the industry is, I see it as the cultural catalyst.
Great. That's about it. Now, should we just open the forum for everybody here to ask questions to our experts? In case if you have a question, please raise your hand. I'll just have the mic passed to you. Anybody has a question? Okay. Time to switch the role from the facilitator to being an MC. Okay. Yes, sir.
So the question is, I asked this question to my ChatGPT, the latest version PRINCE2 Agile V2, what is the major difference between this version and the last version? So it says the focus is shifted. Previously the focus was only on Agile methodologies, Scrum and Kanban. Now, mindset, leadership, culture and scalability, that is the focus of the new framework. I'm really happy to see that any project management framework, they have considered these factors, mindset, leadership, culture, and scalability. I think Mr. Akhil Kulkarni, if you can help us understand how this new framework is, considering all these parameters. And previous question, when it was asked what is the role of HR and TA and everything, so these are the people who will fix these issues, mindset, leadership, culture, and scalability. Definitely a lot of new things are there for these departments now. Over to you.
Okay. So PRINCE2 Agile version 2, the old version of PRINCE2 that was in sync with earlier version of Prince2, Prince2 6th edition as it is called now. The current version, Prince2 Agile V2 that we have is in sync with the current version of Prince2, which is Prince2 7. One of the major changes in Prince2 7 itself is the inclusion of people section, as Vivek sir already mentioned, that the people section was not there earlier. This is something that was introduced after a lot of feedback and industry consultancy. So in the people section, the people aspect mindsets have been covered in the Prince2 7 itself and subsequently in the Prince2 Agile V2. On top of that, we also have couple of popular roles. For example, we have product owners, super product owners and all. So those are also included in the new version of Prince2 Agile V2, and that is how it tries to do. One beautiful thing that has been done in this particular version is that now we have a used template. So not just blank templates, but how you can use it, and using a particular, as Narinder mentioned in her speech briefly, that we have examples of these templates and RACI metrics and skill metrics and everything, and that can be used. So that is how it has enabled this transformation, this particular part.
Great, thank you. And I could see that previously AI guidance was not included. Of course, that is a new one. But I can see that practical AI use cases are added to this framework. So I think, you know, all organizations, they are looking at AI and ML, you know, the way, and they are using it in their day-to-day businesses. So if you can throw some light on, you know, how these AI use cases are added, if...
AI has been added very briefly. The thing about the AI is how AI is going to be used in the project management is still in experimentation phase. We are talking a lot about AI, but we haven't exactly figured out how it will work out for us, and then maybe have some sort of formalization or standardization with respect to AI. We already know that the reporting and other mundane activities will be taken over by AI, freeing up time of team members, project team members, project managers from these activities. But beyond that, to what extent we will be able to predict the future? One of the jokes while I was working on something, why did project manager break up with calendar? Because there were too many commitments and slip dates. So this tells us the importance of where this AI can help us with the prediction part, especially scope creep and timelines are the major concern. To what extent AI will be able to help us with that is still in exploration phase. So what are the possibilities that have been mentioned, but at this point we don't have anything definitive in the industry itself. So codifying that will take some time, I would say.
Thank you, yes.
Hello, panelists. Not a project management expert, so if the question is not to be answered in this forum, you can dismiss it, no problem. But I have been hearing a lot about agile approach of doing projects in last few years, but before that, say 10 years, which were leading to the last 3, 4, 5 years, I have been hearing about the waterfall model of doing projects. And in last few years, there is a lot of discussion about more and more agile ways of managing and doing and delivering projects. So can you please help me understand, I'm not able to wrap my head around it. Is waterfall dead, or how do I position these two approaches? Do they have anything in common? How do they work together, or should you choose one over the other? So help me with that, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so I would be happy to start, and then other panelists can join. So I would not say that waterfall is dead, because I think I keep seeing the application of waterfall, especially in the projects which have very specific, well-defined set of requirements and a very well-defined, let's say, the time duration. So mostly the fixed price projects, as we say in the industry. So there I still see a lot of waterfall kind of implementation with little modification, which falls a little between agile and waterfall, but still completely waterfall. It starts with the design phase and goes till the deployment. Also, I think agile, many companies are also not been able to understand the whole concept, and I still see a lot of waterfall being camouflaged as agile, because I have seen 2 sprints, let's spend on design, then next 2 sprints, let's spend on development, then last sprint is for deployment. So eventually it's a waterfall for 6 months, right? Although the agile needs to cater to the faster GTM above everything else. So I need to develop something in the current sprint which can go in the production. That's the whole point. So I would not say that waterfall is dead. It's still applicable genuinely, and also it's camouflaging in many of the agile projects, I would say.
So, sir, to answer a little bit knowledge what I do have, pretty much I agree with him in terms of waterfall still exists, it still works. Especially if you have done the similar kind of implementations in the past, if there is no change in the set of requirements, if you know what exactly the value proposition is all about, what your customers is expecting out of your product, certainly your waterfall works well there. It is not the case that if you use Agile over there, your project is going to fail. That is for sure. But when you look at the futuristic view in terms of probably what could be the future solutions which my customer would be looking at, certainly it is more on the exploration, it is more on the innovation side of it. Certainly your Agile is the best way to adopt it. That gives you more space for innovation, it gives you more space for experimenting. It is all about collaborating not only within your own organization, it is all about you collaborating with your stakeholders, which could be outside your organization, especially you dealing with the customers directly. The waterfallish way, if I talk about it, the approach was pretty much more from the system view, right? It was all about developing a system. Agile brings in a different flavor wherein we start talking about how user wants to use the system. And that's the perspective which is change, right? So that is pretty much, if you are dealing with the futuristic value proposition, definitely your Agile is going to work there. So answer your question, waterfall still exists, Agile still exists. In 2016, Dave Thomas, who was a founder member of the Agile Manifesto, the 17 people, he very well articulated, he spoke about for 30-35 minutes, and he said that, Agile is dead. And it is all about, like he said, right, the kind of anti-patterns what we have followed, right? Agile gives you an opportunity in terms of altering the processes, but subsequently people abused it. And substantially over the period of time, right, you could see Agile becoming fragile, right? Wherein you can see a flavor of waterfall and Agile. And in some organizations, even I've seen a framework called as Scrum Fall, right, which is a combination of your Scrum and waterfall, right? So that's pretty much the trends what we get to see, but substantially over the period of time, the need of the time is like we stay more focused on agility aspect of it.
Also, I mean, just to add, one quick thing. So I think I have also observed a lot of Agile framework abuse from the other side of the spectrum. So where the client will be like, you're Agile, right? So now do this. So today I want a motorcycle, tomorrow I want a Mercedes-Benz, and then day after it should be helicopter, and then again back to a bike cycle, right? So people try to exploit the Agile in terms of changing requirements so they can change anything overnight. So that's another observation.
So continuing with that point, that exploiting the process, the people unknowingly, they still are doing waterfall, but they are thinking they are Agile. The sprint that they decide or the outcome, the breakups that they do, they are not actually deliverables. They are not delivering any values. The final outcome is still going to come at the end, but still we are driving an Agile project. That's how the things are. So they are not that is still a waterfall. They didn't realize that. End of the day, when they realize, when they integrate everything and they fall, the backfall.
Sometimes I feel like, the blame goes to the tool called as Jira, right? You request a project in Jira, Scrum, and you execute entire project in a waterfall way, right? So somewhere your stand-ups continue for 45 minutes and a poor chap called as Scrum Master sitting down and taking the notes, minutes of meeting. These are the kind of anti-patterns, but needless to say, I've seen the way Atlassian developed this particular product, right? From a defect tracking tool to the entire CI/CD pipeline now. They are not at the fault. It is all about, yet again, I go back to the mindset one more time. Sorry for that, but that's my way to look at it. It's all about here, right?
One small thing I would say, how the Agile really works. We have been, you use the word, we have been talking about it, which is the right way to put it. We have been talking about it. We are not doing it. We are not being Agile at all. The classic example of this is, Agile is supposed to be transparent, the communication is supposed to be easy, and after daily stand-up meeting, you hear, please send it to me in email. That is where the whole thing falls flat. To answer your question, whether waterfall khatre mein hai ya agile khatre mein hai, the answer is we need to understand the type of project we are dealing with, and then the people who are supposed to manage the framework, it is their job to make sure that they choose the right combination. There are pros and cons of both approaches. The right combination has to be chosen by the organization. That is why the implementation and adaptation is very important. Messengers need to take care what they are actually sending, what sort of message they are sending.
Thank you. So what I gather from the answers so far, I'm just validating my thoughts here or my understanding here. So agile approach is under threat or under attack from pseudo agile practitioners or agile quacks, let me say that, because they disguise their waterfall habits under agile heading. Am I understanding it right? Okay, thank you.
Hi everyone. So now we talked about Agile pseudo practices. With the introduction of Agile V2 and some of the Agile methodologies, we say we really don't need a project manager. We have Scrum Masters. Scrum Masters not so equivalent to project managers. And with the introduction of AI, co-pilot, many a times project managers or the leads, they end up, facilitating, coordinating meetings with stakeholders and all that communication management. So how do you see a project manager's role evolving with the Agile V2 or these introduction of AI and different, frameworks recently in the industry?
I will just briefly answer this part and then hand it to others. Agile is supposed to be the core, one of the core concepts about Agile is it is supposed to be self-organizing, right? And people are supposed to talk to each other and solve things. Tell me, have you seen in the office people fighting about chairs? Right? My chair, you took my chair, right? Now, if people are not able to agree about the chairs, I don't expect people to agree about the large part of the projects. This is just the reality, right? So not having project managers is not solution, at least at this point. We haven't got to come to that point. We may at some point in time in future, but not at this point. Project managers still will be required. With the advent of AI, what will happen, as I already said, the mundane tasks, maybe one of the good things that could happen is the forecasting part. So there, good amount of automation, people are already using good amount of dashboards. It may take one step further, and forecasting could also be done, tallied with human estimates, and then that will help in a better estimate. I won't say that would be altogether the right one. That is how I look at it.
Yeah, so I would again like to go back to the word of the evening, mindset. So what I feel is, I know, we all can see a lot of AI tools, are coming in, which are acting as enablers, but I don't see them as a replacement till now. And another thing is the role of project manager or the project lead or maybe Scrum Master. The mindset of the development team members, right? It's very individualistic, right? It's IC role most of the time. So it's come, do your work, go home. There's no big picture view. There's no worry about what my work is doing to the whole organization's goal, right? So I think in that case, I think there needs to be someone who keeps the things together. And the second big role I can think of is to keep the development team away from the hindrances or the blockers, right? It becomes very difficult with multiple stakeholders and all those kind of things to get the things going. So I think that is one of the main role for for Scrum Master also, right? So I think these two as aspects I believe is critical for any team to have a project manager.
So no new flavors for the project manager role in version 2. I haven't seen that yet. So we are going with the same traditional role what we have for PRINCE2 Agile version 1, right? Or do we see any variations in the project manager's role for the V2 especially?
So if I have to use the word, malleable is the word. Okay. A project manager in the new version is not supposed to be in a command and control mode, rather as we say in the Agile, that's supposed to be servant leader, more on that side. So management by consensus, there is more emphasis on that part. But at this point, I don't see project manager going away anytime soon.
Understood. Thank you.
I would like to add a point here. Waterfall still exists, right? So project manager still exists, will continue to exist. The way I look at this whole shift which is happening, and it's not only about the project manager or Scrum Master, I get this question many times between the business analyst and a product owner as well, right? See, ultimately, there will be certain tasks in every project which needs to be done. Now, who does it? How do you define your roles, responsibilities, relationships? What you call those roles as is completely customizable. Let's keep it that way. Whether somebody calls me as a Scrum Master or a project manager, if these are my tasks, if these are my responsibilities, I would like to fulfill them. That's how the mindset, if we can set, then I think that's the whole point, right?
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. I just want to bring in a totally different aspect. Basically, I'm odd man out here because I'm the strong believer of scaled agile framework. I am SPC coach, agile coach, and I am also a good relationship with Knowlathon for training practices. They also have the trainings for scaled agile framework. Now, question to the panel is, why should I change from scaled agile framework, which has agile mindset, lean practices already there, people aspects already there with their versions from SAFe 4.0 and now they are in SAFe 6.0. So if I agree with, okay, PRINCE2 Agile version 2 is really good. So what are those aspects will bring me to change from scaled agile framework to PRINCE2 Agile V2?
See, if scaled agile or basically any particular thing which is already working, I would not advise any changes there for anything that is working. Okay, where you find PRINCE2 Agile clearly defines this, that where PRINCE2 Agile can benefit. So the organizations which are already using waterfall method and they want to bring in more agility, so those are the organizations that can benefit from PRINCE2 Agile. The other part is, if they are already agile, but they want to introduce the governance and control part in a more traditional way. those type of organizations can benefit it. So basically, it is already identifying a problem that can be solved. If there is no problem, I don't advocate any changes.
Yep, completely in line with what Anand sir said. Pretty much the transformation drives what I've seen in the past, adopting scaled agile framework for that matter. SAFE, they themselves recommend that essential configuration is the primary focus area for every organization. But to be very honest with you, you're identifying the value streams and you're identifying the agile release train itself. It's a painful activity. Now, unless and until I complete my entire transformation at the essential configuration level, am I going to execute all my futuristic, viewistic project in a waterfallish way? Probably that is not going to solve my problem. So here is the benefit, what we are bringing on the table with the PRINCE2, wherein it actually facilitates you to adopt that particular agility or reflect agility within the teams, make them understand, and substantially over the period of time, it may be a situation wherein the kind of artifacts what we are looking at, especially at the PRINCE2 Agile version 2, especially you look at the product vision and the project vision aspect of it, now that sets up the context. And there is alignment between these two frameworks as well. So if that is the case, then the overall transformation, it's just a matter that, you set up the ARTs and you set up the value streams at the portfolio level, having the appropriate mechanism of funding the value streams that can be achieved substantially over the period of time. But what is more important is like the delivery teams understanding the agility aspect of it and reflecting on the value proposition as quickly as possible. So that is the enabler which PRINCE2 Agile is offering over here.
Thank you.
So in case if anybody has more questions, you can take it up on one-to-one basis after the event. Because of time constraint, we cannot take more questions. But I guess for all those who have asked the questions in whatever discussion we've had, I hope everybody's got their answers and you all are convinced, right? So let's give a huge round of applause for all our panelists for giving us their precious time. And now, before we let them sit and continue the session ahead, we would now like to hand over a small token of appreciation to our panelists for giving us their valuable time. And to do so, may I please request Shreya Khobargade and Kapil Kulkarni to kindly take the stage and hand over the gifts to our panelists.